Mm. Good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Blue Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great Monday, because I know I am doing fantastic. It wasn't pretty. It was not pretty, but I will take it without, I give no F's. I am so happy we got the victory. You found a way when things weren't going good. And we were literally killing Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys. We were critical as could be. And, I think we were actually expecting the worst. But the Dallas Cowboys get a chance to lick their wounds, go into the bye week, and try and work on some stuff. Now, by all means, it was not pretty at all. It was damn right ugly. Mike McCarthy is playing like he's scared and not trying to lose, but they found a way on the road against a team that was coming off of a bye week. So to do that is positive. In today's NFL, finding a way to win is the biggest key. And I dare say it might be a quiet week here, because I probably won't see a lot of Eagle fans and probably won't see a lot of the 40-winers after they lost, and of course the Cowboys get a victory. So be thankful for what we have. Now I'm going to go ahead and say, throughout this whole game, it's amazing the criticalness of some of the fans, okay? When I look at that game, let me pull up the stats here. When I look at this game, we could not run the football. We got Tony Pollard with 15 carries, okay? 30 yards, 2 yards a carry. Brandon Cooks had one run. He rushed for 14. So let me say it again. He rushed for almost half of what Tony Pollard did on one run. Rico Dowdle, 3 rushes, 12 yards. It was not a good night for running the football. We had less than 100 yards. And you want to be able to, as Mike McCarthy says, run the ball. Well, fellas, we couldn't really run the ball. The amazing thing is, for the first time this season, we've seen Dak using his legs, and we saw them moving the pocket. It almost felt like Dak was kind of throwing some of this stuff away and say, let me take this out. The only play that you really look at that should have been a big success was the deep pass to Michael Gallup that he couldn't hold on to it, that drop. But last night, 21 of 30, 272 yards. You look at that and say, and 1 TD, no interceptions. You look at that, most people say, yeah, it's kind of pedestrian. But you were going against a team that, again, was fully rested. We've got a lot of work to do. CeeDee Lamb had a monster night last night. He was being that guy that you expect him to be, that guy who wants to get paid and should get paid. 7 targets, came down with the ball 7 times, 110 yards. You like to see that. And for once, we finally started using Brandon Cooks. It was only 4 receptions for 36 yards, but he caught all 4 targets. That's what you want to have as a quarterback. You want to know that somebody's got sure hands. Now, Michael Gallup was targeted more than anybody else last night, and came down with the ball 3 times, 24 catches. I want to say he ended up having 4 drops that would have busted that game wide open. The defense, I don't blame them giving up that touchdown that we ended up muffing the punt, and Jalen Tolbert ended up touching the ball and turned over, gave him the ball first down on the 20-yard line. The defense was put out there for a long time last night, and they ended up towing the line and doing just enough. We didn't get to Justin Herbert that many times, but the crucial time, Micah Parsons came down with that sack, so it was timed just right. Stephon Gilmore was getting beat quite a bit in that game, but in the end came down with the interception towards the end to seal the win. And I know it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen that we'll hear a little bit less about how great Justin Herbert is. because we always hear that, Dak Prescott has hit his ceiling, Justin Herbert, he's so much better. Well, Justin Herbert is now 0-2 going against the Cowboys with Dak Prescott. 0-2, and has nothing in the way of playoff wins. So I'm tired of hearing about how great Justin Herbert was. He was, as critical as Cowboy fans were, they were like, well, Dak overthrew, the 3 or 4 passes in there, passes that an NFL quarterback should be making on a regular, blah, 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 blah. Did you see how many that Justin Herbert missed? Did you see how many that were behind Keenan Allen, and Keenan Allen just made a great play and came down with them? Seriously. It's amazing how people are, everything that Dak does is micro-analyzed to the point where there's no way you're going to be able to satisfy him. Justin Herbert, they made excuses for. Okay. Justin Herbert, 22 of 37, 227 yards, 2 TDs, and an interception. But people will still say Justin Herbert's better. In the end, I'm just happy the Cowboys got a win, and 4-2 is a hell of a lot better than going 3-3. And hopefully in the time of the next 2 weeks, this is catching your breath, getting your shit together, and trying to figure out an identity, and getting people healthy. We can do that over the next 2 weeks. It will be amazing. So I'm curious to hear what the talking heads have to say. So let's go to Get Up and see if they praise Dak Prescott or if they say, he's just a bus driver and it was the team and the defense that did it. Let's go. Okay, so on a night that Dak was 70% completions, 272 yards, a rushing TD, a passing TD, and a 109 rating. Let's see what the talking heads have to say about Dak Prescott tonight, because, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest. In my mind, that game, the game ball has to go to Dak Prescott, because without Dak, with the running that we were unable to do, with the problems in the offensive line, with the play calling, Dak is the one, that and the defense shutting down Justin Herbert, definitely came through on a night that your special teams gave up big plays. You think about the return that the Chargers got to get that first touchdown, where, they got the ball on the 40-yard line. You think about the muff punt. Special teams let us down. So as far as the categories go, you got wins in 2 phases. 1 was a loss. You're lucky on the road going against a team with the bye to get the win. But let's see what the talking heads have to say.
How his presence alone is reshaping an entire NFL season. All that and a whole lot more. Let's do it on a Tuesday. It's time to get up and Special guests this morning, the regular Tuesday crew, joined by the great Sal Palantonio, and Jessica Mendoza is here, breaking down all the baseball. We've got a lot of action to get to, and we will, but it begins in Los Angeles last night. Monday Night Football. Game of the night, Cowboys in trouble.
Yeah, it was a must win. It was early in the season, but 3-3, 4-2 or 3-3, it's a huge difference.
It is.
We talked about after last week not allowing this thing to landslide, and obviously I think a win like this allows you to really close that book.
Is the book closed? Was it a must-win? Those are the questions to get the answers. Sal Palantonio, what does it mean?
Absolutely a must-win for the Cowboys. They were absolutely embarrassed in San Francisco. Mike McCarthy took control of what they're going to do in Dallas. He said, listen, I like coaching in Dallas. I want to stay in Dallas. You're not going to ruin this for me.
I still want to fire his ass.
We're going to play conservative football. And you look at the photograph of the video of Dak Prescott, the relief on his face on the bench. He says the words, thank you, Lord, baby Jesus.
They needed to win in the worst way. There's no bullshit about it.
It's easy to say it's a must-win after you've won it. I understand that part of it, but this did feel like a game the Cowboys needed to have.
The Eagles losing the day before, the bye coming up for the Cowboys this week, right? You don't want to go in having lost a couple in a row. Everything was there for them. But yeah, it definitely looked to me like just hold on, just don't mess it up. And that's what happened. They ended up getting through it. The offense still doesn't look, very smooth. It does not look very ambitious. It's kind of, they're doing. I think this is what Mike McCarthy wants to do right on the ball. They only have 96 rushing yards. Dak had 40 of them.
Yeah. There you
go. I don't think they look even the way McCarthy wants them to look quite yet. But important that they got the win on the road, even though I'm sure it felt like a home game for Dallas.
Yeah, it does. It was a must-win, but they played it not to lose, which seems to be the Mike McCarthy style. And they're also, like you mentioned, the big plays, the best plays were all like Dak creating stuff, with the exception of one perfectly thrown deep ball that was dropped in the end zone. Everything else is Dak moving around in pocket. I don't have as much confidence in this team as I would like to have, but they're winning. That defense is still dominant. They didn't turn the ball over, so it feels like a must-win, but it doesn't feel like they've kind of regained the optimism that we had for them early in the season.
Biggest win of the week. This was the biggest win of the week. Here's the deal. We
biggest
both
win of the
on McCarthy all the time. He watched two teams that were the better team in the NFC lose to inferior teams. He's like, we ain't gonna let it happen. We're a better team than the Chargers. This is what we're gonna do. Our defense is gonna win this game. Our offense is not gonna turn it over. Give the man credit. We all talked about they didn't have an identity when they were in San Fran. They got boat raced. It was an embarrassing loss. Come back, you're gonna get this win if you don't do something dumb. They didn't do something dumb. It was like, which guy was gonna make the mess up? McCarthy wasn't gonna get that guy. Listen, the special teams doesn't have that error with 8 minutes left. This game is not even that close because Dallas can get the ball, move it down. But it is. It is what it is, right? But this was as big a win as Dallas could. San Fran loses, Philly loses. It was an enormous win and played and found an identity with what McCarthy wants to do. 0 turnovers, let our defense win the game and close the game at the end. They did it. Give them credit. Like,
it was ugly, but I'll take a win.
Yeah, no, they credit for the win. The 3-point win is fine. A win is a win. I'd like to see them have some consistent offense. If you think back to that game, it's Tony Pollard breaking a tackle in the middle of the field and making a 60-yard run. It's Dak a couple times doing whirly birds in the pocket. I want to see them have some sort of consistent offense. Not turning the ball over is fine if you want to play teams that are mediocre and bad. At some point, they're going to have to beat some good teams, and you're going to have to put some offense.
One of the things that's been going on there, and it's not getting a ton of attention early this season, is the offensive line has really been in flux with some injuries and guys playing hurt.
It don't matter now.
I don't think they fully trust that line right now because it hasn't come together the way they thought it would.
Zach Martin,
I think that's
give up a sack.
But let's give Dak credit.
Smith
He made the plays he had to make, especially on that second drive, right after they go 3 and out. The Chargers score. He comes back. The big 3rd down run, and then of course the big 4th down run for the touchdown. He did what he had to do last night.
Let's talk about just how conservative Mike McCarthy is being with his team. For those of you who did not watch the game last night, I want to take you to, and Artie, let me know when we can do it. Let's take you to the way the first half ended. All right, we're in the final minute of the first half, and we will show you
that was
this
crazy.
sequence here.
I'm still pissed at that.
The Cowboys have an opportunity to go down and get points right before the half. So you see this 50 seconds left to around midfield. That's a completion of Michael Gallup, and the official is clearly winding the clock, right? We are not on their own side. On their own. Cowboys have 2 timeouts remaining. They don't use one. Is it possible they didn't realize the clock is running? Now we snapped the ball.
No, we saw the clips. He's like, why'd you stop the clock?
We have 2 timeouts remaining. We're in the middle of the field. The officials actually stopped the clock. Why are they doing that?
Because they're
Mike McCarthy, why'd you stop the clock? He doesn't know.
He did not want the timeout with 8 seconds left. They let the clock go down to 3 seconds. They take one timeout into the halftime break, and they kick the field goal there to get the sure 3 points. It's one way to look at it.
It's so clear that it's not poor time management. That's exactly what you wanted to do. When he's standing next to the official, and the official is winding the clock, it's pretty clear right there. He knows exactly what he's trying to do. He's trying to manage the game, manage the mistakes of his football team, get out of Dodge with a win. Jeff's exactly right. San Francisco lost on a missed field goal. The Eagles lost on 4 turnovers, especially at every one of the NFC East teams lost, or NFC components lost because of bad plays, bad mistakes.
And that is true. I have to give that. The Giants, the first half.
I think the earlier one, the Gallup sideline catch, where the
20 seconds.
Whether you agree with his decision there with 8 or 3 seconds left or not, like that was a conscious decision. This one with Gallup felt weird. Now, the way Gallup was playing, it's possible McCarthy was surprised he caught it.
That's true.
And it was,
you can actually see him mouth the words, wind the clock.
Yeah.
And then he goes like this to the official with 2 seconds left.
But that's the second one. I'm talking about this play, right? When you have 45 seconds left. Like, you could run a lot more plays at this point. You have 2 timeouts. So I feel like they either thought it was that he was called out of bounds, which he wasn't. But yeah, I think, look, man, I don't know, they won by 3. It's a genius.
I guess, but
That's the point. But my point is,
right.
when it comes time to, look, we sometimes talk about every one of these games like it's a referendum on everything they're capable of doing. But at the end of the day,
absolutely.
In the NFL, I guess it is.
Yeah,
At the end
that's
of the
still.
day,
I'm sorry.
if they
You
are
still take one more shot.
this cautious, if you were that
You still
concerned
take a
about
shot.
throwing a pass in the end zone with 8 seconds left for fear of what might happen, and again, forget about the Giants' time management and all that kind of stuff. They had a timeout left. The Giants did not. So 8 seconds is an eternity.
You can use the whole field in that.
He made the decision, I'm not taking any risk on throwing an interception. That's all the risk that you're running there is a turnover. That's the decision that he's making there. Can you beat good teams that way?
No.
Okay.
You have to get every little edge that you can get in the football game. They let 20 seconds. I think you're right. The scariest one is the 20 seconds they let run off the clock when Gallup is not called out of bounds, when his forward momentum is stopped. That's the real bad one. The decision after that is like, yeah, I would still like to see my quarterback that, like, Dak Prescott's not a dumb man. Like, you pay him lots of money because he's an upper tier quarterback. He's not the top of the top, but he's not going to spoil that situation for him. Take that shot. Those 4 extra points can cost you the game against a good team.
I respectfully disagree.
I do as well. It can be
We have seen NFL teams win that way. Playing good defense, no turnovers on offense. Baltimore Ravens, San Francisco 49ers last year that way, and you can beat good teams that way.
Yeah. You don't think you can beat 3 of them in a row. That's going to be the thing. It's like, and I'm going to have to do it.
Every game takes on a different personality. It's 7-7 with 40 seconds left in the half. It's not like your offense is going to, and theirs isn't either. So if you're a coach at that point, you go, you know what? It's not going to be a shootout. I'm going to have to play this differently. So if they go play a team that hangs up, whatever it is, maybe you got to be more aggressive. But at that moment, you don't have to be that aggressive. He makes the right call. This is what Mike McCarthy wants to be. This is the identity of what he's going to do with teams like this.
Every game takes on its own personality. McCarthy didn't want this one to have one.
Yeah, no personality whatsoever.
Got to make the mistake. He was betting the odds.
All right, so we'll definitely be looking into that a little bit more. In fact, Brian, we're going to have a counterpoint about that right there. On Mike McCarthy, is Mike McCarthy holding the team back? There you go. Mike McCarthy, are you holding the team back? All right, good people, I got work to do here at the Red Brick House. I appreciate everybody who came in, watched the stream last night, and supported the channel because, without you guys, it literally doesn't work. I'll see you soon.